Good afternoon. Actually, wait, somebody was asking about the Russian accent. Good afternoon, my friends. It is FPS Astro here today to give you another lesson about stock markets. That is a fun one. I think it was Cajun. Cajun, that was like, where'd the Russian accent go? Well, here it is, my friend. It is right here. It has never left. Alrighty, let's get into it. Going off the last couple videos, there have been a few things that we have been talking about. Excuse the overlays from the Twitch streams. Also, by the way, if you're interested, feel free to join the channel as a sponsor or whatever it is, whatever YouTube calls it, for anywhere from $1 to like $100 a month. Feel free to support your boy, pay my rent, cover my YOLOs, 0-day options, gambling, all that, blah, 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 blah. Feel free to support Comrade Truly. But going off of the last however many videos that we've been covering, bear market rally, meme stocks running, and then the particular strategies that we're trying to chase, right? And I think I'm going to go over it in that order, and in between. But pretty much in that order. And try to keep the continuity throughout all of this as we go from hypothesizing something happening to either it actually happening or not happening, and then bringing it full circle and perhaps making like I don't know, a longer framed video that kind of explains everything that happened over that course, and have like a nice like rendezvous point for all of the ideas. Yeah, so today SPY closed up 1.2%, almost like 1.5, I think, at one point. Pretty solid day though. It looked choppy at first, and there is a lot of like uncertainties in like the macro world of things, just between how different nations are dealing with inflation, and reports about monetary policy coming out from Germany. And there's another like key metric that is supposed to be coming out either Tuesday or Wednesday. But in general, there's a lot that's happening in the macro scale of things. So I think a lot of people expected this to be range bound, myself kind of included, but at the same time, everything's at the point where it's time to either pick a direction or it's going to pick itself, in terms of like, we're either going to go up or we're going to go down. This range bound bullshit isn't going to hold forever. So I think we're finally getting some alleviation there. So we closed up 1.2% on the day. Going into the last about hour to half hour of things is when we really got some action. But nonetheless, a pretty solid day to kick things off on the broader indices. SPY up 1.2%. IWM only up about 0.5%, and then QQQ, I think, yeah, 1.1%. But QQQ is not looking too good. I think tech has had its run for its money for a very long time now, so I don't think we'll see any capitulation there to the upside in the near-term future. What was the other thing? Oh, the VIX. The VIX has been really weird, albeit I'm using a levered version of it, being UVXY. But the parity, or rather the disparity between the VIX and the broader indices has been really interesting, because we kind of saw the VIX and SPX running in unison. Not sure why. Maybe short covering inside of the volatility indexes, but overall, that first couple hours of the day, we saw this really weird parity, and then became disparity. Yeah, kind of strange at first. So I mean, I don't think it's anything significant, but it was worth bringing up. Right, Amy and Jimbo, kind of the highlights here that I really want to cover. Again, just to make it even more abundantly clear, I'm not talking about MOAS. I don't think that's going to happen, at least not anytime soon, so that is well off the table. I've been saying this in every video, so that's not what I'm speculating on here. Do not misconstrue it, don't misinterpret it, don't whatever this or that. So that's well said and clear. I'm not calling for anything that is above even like $50 on AMC, at least right now. I do think there's a solid move coming. I don't have any exact ranges yet, other than the ones that I've talked about regarding the sniper, the Wyckoff Snippy Snipe, where we have levels sitting at $12, 13, and 18. But understand that's like a 400% return if we're hitting the uppermost band of that. But I just wanted to make that even more clear. Amy today closed down only 2%, and I say only 2% because it got really bad at one point, being as low as minus 5.5%, give or take. So, a lot of people, and this is the amazing part of FinTwit, and just anyone that cruises, not anyone, but the certain flavor of person that cruises through social media to find particular sentiment on a stock, or of anything, politics even, if you speculate on something and it doesn't happen in the next day, it's like, oh, well, you got it wrong. And no, it takes time. That's how a lot of this stuff works. And if you get ahead of it, then that's how you actually profit from it. So I wasn't expecting anything to come to fruition immediately. I think we did say that there could be like a 10% pop if things from the broader markets had shown some relief. But given the tension that we saw with the VIX being in unison with the SPY, I think that was either a sign of markets beginning to exit short positions as a general thing, and or there was a premium being set against volatility because some participants believed that there was no way that there would be any form of rally. So that could explain it, but in which case that would explain some of the more moderate results on today. I still think there could easily be a 10% day, given that SPY goes anywhere above 1.5 to 2% this week. And obviously there has to be some sustainability of bullish momentum. But anywho, AMC though, in a really interesting pattern, something that a lot of people have seen a lot of times, myself included, for a very long time, and it looks something like this. And unfortunately, the typical outcome of this pattern breaks downward for AMC. A lot of the meme stocks typically break downward, which is really unfortunate. So that is in the cards. But we're legging into this position of going long on calls. So it's not an instant make or break, as I hope most people understand when it comes to getting into a position and exiting a position, is that you don't go balls deep into everything with all of your capital initially, because that is the dumbest thing you could do. So in that event, we will continue legging into our calls, and then using some basic Fibonacci-esque approaches here. If we assume that we have this hidden bottom of some sort, you can kind of extrapolate the range. But if we were to take this extension of a Fibonacci retracement and kind of fit it to where the current levels and supports and resistances have taken place in the past, we would assume that the bottommost portion of the trend would sit at $4. Really not great to hear, but if you're someone who is truly patient, and not just for virtue signaling purposes, but is actually patient, this is actually good because we can continue to size into our position. But in which case, that would be another, 30% decline, 25% decline. I'm not the biggest fan of that happening, but it is in the cards if we do get this drop, and that would give us a more prominent spring in terms of the accumulation schematic, if we were to look at that from this perspective. But in general, there is an opportunity for this to break up, and the reason why I say that is because we see the longermost portion of this pennant taking place at the bottom as a support instead of the top as a resistance, which means that this is more, it's not top heavy. Whereas most patterns where you see this taking place, if the resistances extend beyond where your support is taking place, so if your pennant looks like this, right, this triangle, that is typically bearish. If it looks like this triangle, that is typically bullish, just because you have a longer running track record of supports taking place at the base of the pennant rather than resistances. So kind of 50-50 on that. It really depends on what the day does tomorrow, but just something to consider. In terms of this, we have another 4-hour buy signal from the volume-based regime changes. A lot of them starting to stack up here. I think there was one on the 12-hour. No, that is actually a sell signal, but we're going to continue to assume that that is a false positive. Nothing on the daily yet, so we're going to be looking out for that. What would prompt a daily buy signal from the volume indicator is just a massive green day in terms of volume. I'd have to look at the exact level that it would be looking for, but that's what would constitute that particular signal. Yeah, kind of just waiting to see what the broader markets do. Futures are holding steady, only down 0.06%, but continues to show some considerable buying pressure from bulls, as you can see up here. Overall, though, this is also worth mentioning. We've been talking about this a lot on Twitter. We are passing across the weekly accumulation band on futures. And you can see in the past that this has been a very clear point of contention with 3 rejections and even 3 lines of support. Technically 4. That you could not decipher these levels anywhere from the chart historically. You would not find any form of support or resistance that would qualify as something that you would chart. This is something that Snippy Snipe sniffed out itself and has held true very, very well. So seeing us actually get our leg up beyond that is huge. And then when we break down and look at the relative micro intervals of the chart, we see a very clear, albeit ugly looking form of accumulation taking place. It looks more so like a mix of accumulation and distribution, but this is a clear spring, and we're now entering into the SOS. You could potentially see, You could potentially see the SOS taking place on a more dramatic scale, or less dramatic scale, which would bring us down around here. And that could be tomorrow. But in general, looking like a pretty clean example of accumulation taking place, and as well as with us going into midterm season. Yeah, so that's about it. As far as tomorrow goes, still pretty excited. I think we're going to see some good stuff. Unfortunately, it's really dependent on what the overall market does. So we will continue to see what we're going to go through. Just what the fuck's going to happen tomorrow. It's another, every day is just chaos after piece of chaos. It's insane. So anyway, thank you very much, my friend, for watching. I will see you tomorrow, and stay black.